Ladies and gentlemen, sit back and enjoy
Mega Meeple!
Greetings and welcome to the Mega Meeple, the show all about gamers and the games that bring them together. This is episode 68. And thank you so much for smashing that download button and listening in. If this is your first time to the show, welcome. Everybody is welcome here at the Mega Meeple gaming table. Well, unless you're an a-hole. And you'll be promptly exiled. And yes, we've had to do that in the past. Not for the podcast, just for our actual gaming group here, and the IRL, as they would say. But if you're new to the show, welcome. Yes, if you haven't checked it out yet, go to our website. That's www.themegameeple.com. All of our episodes stream there on the website. So if you want to go back all the way to about a year and a half ago and listen all the way to episode 1 or 2 or even episode 3 where we had Jamie Stigmeyer on, you could do that right on the website. And go to the social media page on the website. And all the links where you could like and follow us and interact with us. All those links are found on the social media page on the website. And just take a gander around. Also, if you haven't checked out our YouTube channel, go ahead and do that. There's a link on that on the social media page on the website as well. I will be putting out, now that October's coming around, I will be putting out my top 10 favorite horror theme board games to play on Halloween. So check that out. So if you haven't already, please go to iTunes and subscribe. While you're there, put out some of that 5-star loving. Leave us a happy review. It does a lot to help the podcast out. Really appreciate it. And if you really like the show, we have the Patreon and Pod Pledge page. The links to those are also found on the social media page on the website. Just, $1 a month or $5 a month or whatever really helps out. But even if you can't do that, just word of mouth. Tell your friends about it. Share the word, share the wealth, share the love, share whatever. We're in a sharing mood here. But just telling everybody at your gaming table and all your gaming friends at your gaming store about the Mega Meeple and the podcast and the YouTube channel and all that stuff really goes a long way. I mean, hey, my social circles only go so far, So again, welcome, and let's see what. I don't have much news or anything that. It seemed like I covered all the news last week when I came back from vacation. So I've just spent the past week just getting back into the rhythm of things. The usual routine. But we have a pretty cool guest. We have Fryos Games talking about let's get that right now. Until Daylight. And that is a current Kickstarter. Successfully funded, but it's pretty neat. It's basically a card game, zombies type thing. It has an app that has like a real-time aspect to it. So anyway, Thom from Fryos Games is going to be telling us about that. So without any further ado, let's get on to that interview, shall we? All right, welcome back to the Mega Meeple. And as we are off to do here, we have a guest here with another Kickstarter, successful Kickstarter. What is with Kickstarter? All these board games coming out here. I mean, it's like a lot of games hitting it right out of the park. In fact, I'm watching. I'm watching the Kickstarter page right now, and it's already gone up like $150 just by the past 10 seconds of watching it. But yeah, we have Thom from Fryos Games, and we're going to be talking about Until Daylight, which is currently on Kickstarter right now. Thom, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing good, doing good. So we're kind of batten down the hatches here, getting ready for Hurricane Florence. But I'm in Charlotte, so really, I think the most that we're gonna get is a lot of heavy rain and flooding. Nothing we haven't seen before.
I'm in Montreal here, and it's sunny as you couldn't believe. It's hot and warm. So yeah, I feel you.
So yeah, we've had quite a few days like that too. So actually, we've been hoping for rain, and we're gonna get it. So.
Well, we have plenty to spare, especially in winter. So if you need more, just call me later in the winter, and I'm gonna make sure to send you some.
All right, sounds good. Sounds good. Hopefully, it won't get locked up in customs or anything. Now you're up in Canada, right?
Yeah, in Montreal, in Quebec, and we just launched our second Kickstarter. Our second game has been funded in 24 hours, like the first one. So yay!
Yeah. So that's I'm sure putting new things out there. That's always usually like the first nail biting thing is like, okay, is this going to go over? Is this?
Yeah, exactly. The first 3-4 days are very, very important. The first game was, of course, like, you try, you do your best, but you do a lot of things that goes well and other not so much. But this one, we got it covered, and we have the best manufacturer, the best fulfillment center. We pay the taxes and custom up front. All that kind of, shenanigans that you have to follow upon the first project, because, you cannot learn it all. You have to adapt and overcome when the situation comes up.
Right. So Thom, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into gaming.
Well, sure. My name is Thomas. Thomas. I'm in Montreal. I'm a French citizen living in Montreal. And we just made our second game with my co-founder and associate and best friend, and much more. We're kind of like brother now. In Montreal, his name is Gary Petre. And together we've built this company, Fryos Games, and we just pushed out our second game on Kickstarter 4 days ago now. Yeah, that Monday of this week, so the September 10th. And we've always been playing video games, board games, role-playing games when we're, teenager, young adults, and now we are in our 30s. And I can tell you, for the young audience listening to us right now, you don't change. you don't grow old. You just pretend that you know how to adulting, but it stays the same. You still have so much fun if you want to stay fun and stay young in your mind and in your pleasure. So we've always been playing board games, mainly, of course, Catan, Ticket to Ride, Zombicide, Bonanza, and more recently, of course, Gloomhaven. Gloomhaven. This is a very this is an activity on its own. It's not a board game anymore. It's not like board game night. It's Gloomhaven night.
Yeah.
It takes so much time. It's amazing.
How did you and Gary come up with the idea of Fryos Games, and where did that start?
Well, we've always been kind of not special, but a bit crazy when we were younger. And we always had that wild dream that we'd be working together. And we did for a lot of projects, but we were always working and having so much, thinking and thought about what we could do as together as a project that we could actually produce and make it real into reality. And we just come up with this idea and this reflection saying we were not going to be able to do anything plus our full-time jobs. if we don't love it, if you don't like it, because it takes so much energy, so much concentration and capacity to adapt and overcome, that if you don't love what you do, it's not going to work. So we had to do something that we love doing. And for the past 20 years, 15 years, or something like this, we've been playing role-playing games and board game, and we just, took the time to, hey, maybe, there is something that we can do with this. Maybe there is something that is there already, and we can just come up with an idea. So let's take 2 or 3 days in a cottage together, no wives, no friends, no nothing, no phone, and just make it happen, create something. And while we were talking about this, actually the idea of QA, our first game, came up during this meeting. Even before the cottage, in an afternoon, we had it all. But everything was already lined up and ready just to come up, because we had so much fun and experience for the past 15 years playing board games. After that, it was month and month of fine tuning, play testing, and stuff. So at that moment, we had a prototype ready in 2 months, and we were play testing it with people, friends, family, strangers, and yeah, everyone seemed to like it. So at that moment, we say, you know what? Instead of only buying on Kickstarter, maybe we can do it. And one of the main reason we have that company, Flyos Games, is that we are 100% independent. We don't compromise on quality, and it's not our full-time job. It's not. So we don't need to make some commercial calls just because we need to sell stuff, because we need to pay our bills. We don't. So we can just produce the game that we want to play as players, and we can produce games that we want to produce as players as well. We don't have to compromise on quality or any commercial questions. So that was this. That's the second point, I guess. And the third is that we're 100% independent. Gary and I, we have a range set of skills that we don't need any kind of exterior help. So whatever we need in terms of a website, whatever we need in terms of marketing, whatever we need in terms of communication, social media, art direction, illustration, pretty much everything, we don't need anyone else. We have all the range of skills. It's kind of perfect two-man army team. So we had everything together. We had the creation style, we had the passion, and we had the skills to do it. So we just jumped on it.
Excellent. Yeah, that is just a proof positive of a story of a successful story of fans that made it, or
exactly. We had everything already there, and if it was not something that we were willing to do for free, it wouldn't have worked. So yeah, we were willing to do it for free anyway. Actually.
Okay, cool. Now from what I'm seeing on the Kickstarter, you have even though it's you and Gary, it seems like a good ensemble of creators. And because you have Ben and Elsa on art,
our first project was of course a lot of work, and we worked with Nathalie Dombois, which is in Belgium, and she's amazing. And what she put in terms of work for illustration on Kiwitin was detrimental to our success. And we've learned with the success of first campaign, we went all in, put all the money that we're able to make. And that's not so much, you can believe me, when you pay the cost of production, the shipping, and all that, you don't have much left. And we wanted to have everything ready for the second one. So we get in contact with people that were really, important for our next game. And we really picked Ben Bosho, which is the illustrator of the game, and everyone else around that was, really a fit for this project in particular. We don't take associate depending on what are the skills, because we have everything ready and in line, in set in our own company. But in terms of, for example, writing, we took Lilian, we took the wife, of course, of Ben, which was a colorist. We've worked with a friend of mine, which is a translator, because we're Francophone. So, of course, the way we talk English is not the same as native Anglophone Americans, England, English or even Canadians. So we had to come up with something more that people can be more familiarized with, relate. So we picked their own expertise in very specific domains to make sure to have their experience into that project.
Excellent. So now let's get into the actual game. We have Until Daylight. So I call this my barroom napkin question, because
Sure.
as good all good ideas start on just a scribble on a barroom napkin. So how did Until Daylight come to be?
Well, we always loved zombies. Like who doesn't, pretty much. And yes, it's a theme that everyone is familiar with. That's like pirate and Cthulhu and zombies and Kickstarter, right? It's always there is always a campaign like this. But we wanted to do something more realistic, and how we actually created the game was very layer per layer. The first game was something that we wanted for family fun and fast and intense moments. And we still love intense moments, so we made sure to include this into the game. And we wanted to add more thing up to it. We wanted something more strategic. And we are kind of not evil and good mastermind, but we always love to play around the temptation of doing something bad and fun to your friends. And this is the dynamic that we try to put into Until Daylight, something that you can play with your friends, and that you can do some trick or treat, basically. You can help them, or you can block them a little bit. It's always fun when we play that kind of board game. So we wanted to make sure to include that in our game, and we wanted something intense. So we worked around that three big pillar, which is strategic, social, and intense. And we when we decided what kind of experience we wanted to deliver, we just said, okay, what can we achieve and make and create to make sure that we have these three pillars of the game. And that's how we made an app that is random timer to have something intense, because you don't know when the next wave of infected is going to come up to you. So you're always on the edge of the seat, and that's what the reviewers are actually saying to us right now. It's very intense. And in terms of strategy, we wanted to have something where you need to have a cooperative group of person working together to make sure that it works together. And if you don't get consensus and you work together, you're going to fail. And if one of you dies, the game is over. So you have to make it work. And the last thing was the social dimension. So there is a leader token that helps you actually double the advantage as a hero, survive the night. But in order to do that, you kind of have to betray your friend or make sure to have more power than them. So there is struggle and a balance that you need to find within yourself between, I need this for my character, but in the other way around, we need this for the greater good of the group. So that balance can really tip depending on the personality that you have, the group that you have. And this is very interesting to see the playtesting going that direction. And 80% of the time people fail to survive the 10 rounds of terror. It's basically because someone of the group actually betrayed everyone at the worst possible time. And it's so fun to see.
Definitely, that's one of those take that aspects of it.
Exactly, and that's when you see the face of betrayal of the leader of the group, and it's to look like, okay, you want that desperately to be the leader. Oh man, this is. You can see the betrayal face, you can see the surprise of everyone, and you can see the smirk on the betrayer. It's amazing. You can always come back from it. But it really depends on the group, and sometimes there is not that kind of ego, not that kind of dynamic in the group, and everything goes well. So it really depends on your groups. There is for everyone and every taste.
Yeah. So let's get into the victory conditions and just how the game plays out and the mechanics involved.
Sure. Basically, you have 10 rounds of terror that you're going to have. Each round is two phases. One search phase and one combat phase. During the search phase, you basically launch the app, which come free with the game. You don't have to pay for it. And if you don't have any cell phone or smartphone or no data or no battery, you can use the hourglass that's coming into the box as well. So it's not required. We strongly encourage it because we made a special music with a composer to make sure that the game and the search phase is very intense. So you basically launch the app, and one after the other, each player is going to draw a card from the rubbles to add them to their inventory. So it can be weapons, it can be ammunition, it can be supplies, it can be some craft material. And one after the other, you take it and say next. And when you say next, it's up to the next player, and on and on and on and on. If, and it will happen, someone is actually drawing some card and hasn't had the time to say next, and the gong at the end of the search phase rings, or the send timer actually got all consumed. Well, at that time, you're the one to be surprised by the horde of by the wave of horde. So all the infected is going to come into your character, and the number of infected is going to come up to your character to kill it. Depends on the number of players you have around you. So if it's a 4-player game or 6. You're going to have more, of course, infected if you're 6. And the round. So there is 10 rounds. So imagine we're round 1. We're 3 players. It's 1 plus 3. You're going to have 4 actual infected in your zone. And you have to kill them one by one. And it's kind of a corridor kind of thing. So you have to kill them one after the other. And some are tougher to do. So you have to find a strategy to make sure that this is going to be very effective. Because if you don't kill them all, they're going to stay up to the next wave, and they're going to pile up. So things can degenerate very easily. And so into that combat phase, you need to get rid of them, exchange cards just to make sure that the guy that is an expert with ammunition has the ammunition required, the one that is expert with bow and arrows has all the arrows to do it. There is a tank that maybe it might be good enough to make sure that it's the one that received the last wave of horde, because the more we go up in terms of round, the more infected is going to come up. So the first round, if you are, for example, play at 4, the first round you're going to have 5. Second round you're going to have 6. But the last round, the 10th round, you're going to have 14. And right before, during the 9th round, you had 13. So maybe in the 8th, 9th, and 10th round, you maybe had like 14 infected right up onto. So you got to find the strategy. You got to understand how it works, how you have to concentrate your firepower in a very specific way. What kind of monster infected are the highest priority? What you need to do in terms of leadership to enhance the odds of the group. So there is that guy into the rule book that helps you out and tell you basically every single tips for you to understand to make sure that you survive. And when you survive that 10 round of infected, of each of the round has 2 phase, 1 search and 1 combat, you survive. You just need to save 1 survivor that is included into the infected. There are lost souls that need redemption that you need to survive to save. And yeah, if you survive 10 rounds and save 1 survivor, you did it. You won. Congratulations. If you don't, learn your mistakes and see how you need to improve for the next round, for the next game. Our game is for 3 to 6 players, and the tendency right now, the trend into the board game industry is pretty much solo and duo game. And we had this question saying, what can you tell me that's going to force me only to play at 3, and why can I not play 2 players? And we've been very honest with this. Look, the game is balanced for 3 to 6 players. However, you know the game, you know how to play, you want to test it, make sure to do it and film it, and we're going to make sure to spread it around during, on our social media, on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram. That's lovely. If people want to try it and do it, do it. It's your game, it's your story, it's your money. We don't have the team to come up to your place, knock on your door and say, hey, you can play 2 person and use the app. No, do whatever you want.
Now, for people, it's like the time factor of it. What I guess in your play testing, what what has been the feedback, or how do you able to deal with people that if they know they're being timed about something, that they just freeze up and
Yeah.
the whole AP just locks in?
That's actually one of the things that we worked around, and we made it very very clear that it was our intention for you to freeze. That's exactly why, for example, the send timer has less second than the app, and that the app is as extra second to compensate this, because we know people's going to freeze, and that's a part of the experience that we want to deliver. We want something very, very intense during the search phase, very stressful, and then a release with the rest of the group when you can strategize and make it work. And then another round of search phase where it gets even more intense, and then a release. So it's kind of a contraction, decontraction every single time, every single round. So the real time thing, you need to be quick and effective, but you need to be smart. You need to be reactive. And then you have all the time in the world to take your time, think your strategy. So it only takes 10 rounds of around a minute each. So if you play, for example, around an hour or around an hour and a half, or maybe 2 hours for the first game, because you're going to read up the book, you're going to read up the rules, and everyone's going to ask questions because it's a new game. So during the 90 minutes or 2 hours, you're only going to have maximum of 10 minutes of intense game. The rest of the game is you thinking it straight, how to maximize the effect of the combat strategy. So it's not that hard. But yes, it's a very important part of our experience. But during the search phase, if you freeze, that's you. And the more you freeze, the more the people around you is going to be frustrated and push you, do something. And you have to react, you have to adapt. And this is very stressful, for sure. But only once or twice, because after that, you have to overcome it, and you understand, okay, this is what we should be doing. And you'd be surprised how people actually find ways to be more effective, even in search phase. And even me, I was in charge of improving the game I was the one in the playtest. And even me, I was discovering new technique by new players. They were playing for the first time, and they were putting things around in a way that, it is more effective. Wow, they're doing it. So you can always learn and go over that first impression where you think you're going to freeze. Yes, you will. But it's made to be that way. And after that, you're going to be all right.
Now, one of the cool things you got with the pledges, different levels of the pledges, and even some of the add-ons that are available. It's like the art book, and I want to touch upon the comic book Origins. Yeah. Was that developed? Did you have that ready and going before you designed the game?
Not yet. It really depends on the stretch goals, and the number of pages we're going to have depends on the stretch goal for sure. The thing is, we've been working with Lilian Klepakovsky on that game, and is working in comics right now in France. He's working here in comics in Montreal, and he has this extensive knowledge on how to make some comics, some comic books. So we wanted to. We not only created board game, but also an extended universe, and we created a mythology around it, and the reason of this infection, and what's going to come after that, and what's the sort of infected, and how the society rebuilds and stuff. And we had it all already there, created. So we just, tried a new thing and tried to change the game in terms of Kickstarter. Maybe people would be interested to have that comic book. Maybe people will pay an extra if they don't get the biggest pledge when the comic book is included. Maybe it's going to be something that people are interested of. So the only way to actually know it is to try to do it and take some risk. If it doesn't work, that's fine. We have everything lined up already. Everything is paid. So we're going to have maybe a short one, maybe a short version, maybe a medium one. Depends on the stretch goal, that's for sure. But what we want is to test the water and see if people are interested in that.
Okay, cool. And speaking of that too, I've if you go on the Kickstarter page, you could actually they have PDFs of sort of like the backstory of the different characters, and I like some of the. I guess it's a foregone conclusion when you're dealing with a zombie game. It kind of lends itself to kind of dark humor, and I just like the humorous aspects of some of these backstories here. It's pretty cool.
Thanks. We did our best on this. That's why we say infected, because we don't want to say zombies, of course. Like Walking Dead is thing, walkers, and the other one's other thing. The term zombies is very derogatory in our industry because it's just a zombie game. And no, we really wanted to pay homage to what's been done in terms of zombie theme. But it's not only a zombie thing; it's a worm, an Australian worm that infect people and mutate them. So there is kind of an alien kind of thing working with them, and also they're photosensitive, so they don't come up during the day. So there is this vampire mythology added to it, and there is also the characters that we wanted to be more realistic as possible. They all have their advantage and flaws. They're not only good at this, they're also bad at this. And you need, as human being, you need to find the balance within the group of who is in charge of what, because are going to be much more effective at this, but are going to be less effective at that. And you need to come up with solution. You need to come up with strategy to use all the assets that you have at the best possibility possible.
Yes, definitely. So so this Kickstarter is successful. We'll see the light of day, as we say, and the Kickstarter will be live until Monday, October 8th.
Yeah.
Now, if people are listening to this episode, maybe months or even years down the line, do you know if there'll be opportunities to order the game from you guys after the Kickstarter if they happen to miss the Kickstarter?
Well, of course, if you want to buy it, now is the best moment in Kickstarter, and a month later on BackerKit. We also right now have some contest where you're gonna be able to share a contest on our Facebook, and if you're the lucky winner, you're gonna be drawn by the illustrated as an infected and included in the Kickstarter and the retail version of Until Daylight. So it's kind of awesome.
Oh, wow.
Same thing for the stretch goal. The first stretch goals that's gonna maybe happen this week is because right now we are close to 150%. We're at 146 or something like this, and at 160, 170 percent of the budget, we're going to be able to have a Kickstarter live and take all the info, the feedback of the community, and design live an infected that also is going to be included in the Kickstarter and the retail version. So this is something that's the strength of Kickstarter and the community and the crowdfunding is you're also a part of this project. You're not only buyers, you're empowered to give your opinion and to give you feedback on this. So after the October 8th and up until November 8th, it's going to be on BackerKit, where you can also buy it and back it in the regular pledge, which is 59 Canadian dollars. So I think it's 32 US dollars, something like that. And there is also the biggest pledge, which is the Brute Pack, which is 99 Canadian dollars, so I think 79 USD. And it comes with all the add-on, all the exclusive cards. There is also some exclusive cards on that pledge. So you can come up with very, very extensive card and a lot of discounted price when you get that pack. So it's available on BackerKit, and then of course we're talking with distributors in Europe and US just to find a way to have a retail life after Kickstarter.
Okay, very good. All right, Thom. Now, if people want to find out more about the game or even about you and Gary and Fryos Games, where could they go?
Well, of course, it's Kickstarter. Make sure to have a look on our live campaign. And if you're a little bit too late, make sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter under Flyos Game, FLIOS, FLY, OS Games. And there is also the best way is to get on flyosgame.com and sign up to the newsletter, where we don't spam our followers. We only send around 5 newsletter per year because we don't want to encumber people, and there is so much going on and noise. So we just want to have your attention at a very specific moment, basically before a campaign, after, during the campaign, and after the campaign, for surveys and feedback and that kind of stuff. But we have our own job before that, so we don't want to get too much of your attention. So feel free to subscribe to it. You are always free to unsubscribe if it's too much. But the best way is definitely to get onto our newsletter.
And of course, we'll have links to those things in the show notes of this episode. Well, Thom, thank you so much. Appreciate you coming on and talking about it. And again, congratulations on a successful Kickstarter. Now, before we let you go, we like to play a little game with our guests. It has nothing to do with gaming, but just a little fun little trivial thing we like to do. It's called the Mega Meeple Rapid Fire Round. You up for that?
Yeah, of course.
All right. So I'm going to give you a choice of 2 things, and you just tell me which one you prefer. All right.
Yep.
Winter or summer?
Winter.
All right. Game of Thrones or The Walking Dead?
Game of Thrones.
Baseball or football?
Football. And by football, I mean soccer.
Yes. Yeah, make that distinction here. Let's go. Windows or Mac?
Mac.
All right. And lastly, Kirk or Picard?
Kirk.
All righty. All right. Thank you. Well, thank you so much, Thom. And again, we're talking about Until Daylight. Go check it out on Kickstarter. It's going to be live until October 8th. An infected card game. Infected in the sense that that's that's a
zombie game, but we say infected. But you know the drill, guys.
Yeah, we know what we're really saying here, what we really mean. But with an app, but if you don't like the app, hey, we got the sand timer there. So, but again, thank you so much, Thom, and congratulations once again.
You're welcome.
Looking forward
Good luck,
to the
guys.
game. Thank you so much for listening. Come back next week, as my guest will be Paul Grogan. No relation. It was pretty wild when I first started into board games and started getting into like watching videos and stuff. I came across this guy named Paul Grogan, and I was like, wow. I mean, I knew there were other Grogans out there, but to have 2 Grogans within the gaming community, that's pretty wild. So, we're not related. I'm Irish. He's British. Yeah, figure that one out. So, so Paul and I will be talking about, well, what else are we going to be talking about? Rule books. What makes a good rule book? What makes a sucky rule book? We're going to talk about all that next week. And again, thank you so much. Spread the word of the podcast and a website and YouTube channel and blah, 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 and all that other stuff. Feel free to follow me on all the Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and Tumblr and all this other stuff. Again, all the links to those things can be found on the website, www.themegameeple.com. So, thank you so much, and we will see you next week. Until then, we'll see you at the gaming table.